Hey, ioStux here. Normally I would sell out here, but I'm quickly going to use this bit to explain why I haven't been uploading. On the 1st of April, haha, what a great joke, I actually got corona. And I was super duper sick and I was in quarantine, but now I'm okay and I'm not dead, which is very nice because then I can coach you people. But that is why my entire setup was kind of screwed, and the audio quality in this session on my end is going to be fucking terrible because it decided to use my webcam mic. But I really liked this session, so I wanted to upload it anyways. If the audio quality is too terrible for you to endure, then I promise I am going to upload more sessions with decent audio quality as well. But for now, you're gonna have to deal with this shit, okay? I mean, come on, give me a break. I've been dealing with a literal pandemic in my body, okay? Okay, love you. See ya. During this session is entirely confidential, so you don't have to worry about me using it for anything, showing it to anyone, or talking to anyone about it. Number two, I highly recommend you take notes. You can record the session if you feel like it, but people don't like listening to their voice for 60 minutes, so you know, your mileage may vary. I would just take notes. And lastly, the mantra that I follow with these sessions is once a coachee, always a coachee, which means that if you have any questions after this appointment, all you need to do is to send me a DM and I'll get back to you, which you already know because you have a Phoenix Pass, because you have your priorities straight, mister. So the way that I structure these is first we're going to do a little bit of a speed dating situation. You know, you filled out a little form. When you scheduled your first session, we're going to go through that. I'm going to figure out what makes you tick. And then afterwards, we're going to look at some gameplay, and hopefully by the time we're done, you have a pretty good idea of what it is you need to do in order to become happier at life. Okay?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Good. So the first question that I usually like to ask people is why the fuck are you here? Like, what made you go, I need coaching?
I was playing comp, and I was just dying a lot, instantly dying, out of position, dead, not like paying attention. And then I tried to play comp with my friends, and they were like, damn dude, you need to switch, you fucking shit. And then people tell me in the chat I'm fucking shit, so.
Okay.
So then I was like, oh, I saw your videos, and I've been watching videos since a lot of people kept suggesting them to me. And I saw you did coaching, so I was like, oh, and then I saw a lot of the reviews, and then they said you were the #1 coach, and like you really good.
I sure am.
So then I said, might as well do it. Tired of being shit, so.
Okay, well, I mean, honestly, this is as good as an argument as ever. But this shows why this question is so useful, because you already gave me an important clue. You just talked that you play with the dickheads you call your friends, right?
Yeah.
Okay, can you talk a little bit into the psychological insecurities that lead you into this dilemma? Why do you play with people that do that to you?
I would say I try to ignore them, but then they kind of get in my head a little bit, because then they tell me to constantly switch. So,
but are you really ignoring them if you still decide to play with them?
I guess I'm not.
You're not. Okay. Ignoring is usually when you block them or something. You know. How old are you?
I'm 16.
You're 16. Okay, so you're still pretty young. I mean, you're not like super duper young, but you know, you're not dying anytime soon. Let's phrase it that way. One of the things you need to understand, okay, you're going to reach a point, okay, where you wake up in the morning, you're going to take a shower, you're going to pee, you're going to brush your teeth, you're going to go to work, okay, and you're going to come home from work, and you have like a couple hours where you can do shit before you need to go to bed, so you can go to work again the next day. Okay, I know it sounds really depressing, but it's not actually that bad, because you make money and you can use the money for stuff. But the important part is your amount of available time becomes more limited, okay? Which means that you become a lot more picky about how you want to spend that time, okay? So right now, those friends of yours, as you like to call them, they're a minor nuisance. Eventually, you're going to reach a point where you have like 4 hours a day where you can do whatever the fuck you want, okay? Where you don't need to take a shower or go grocery shopping or do the laundry or something. You can just do whatever you want, okay? And you don't want to spend that time with people like that, okay? Usually, You reach that point naturally as you grow up, as you kind of get into adulthood and you start working on all of that stuff. But I'm going to give you a little piece of advice. Force yourself into adapting this mindset now. Okay, you need to value your time. There's a reason I charge this much money for my coaching. It's because I value my time. Okay, it basically says this is how much money you need to give me so that I do this with you instead of watching a show on my television. Okay, which sounds like a very capitalist thing to say, but again, the message that I'm trying to get across here is that while it's not that time is money for you, time is improvement, right? Every single second that you spend in the game, you want to get something out of that, okay? And you said, so I hope this is a typo, but you said that you do like 4 hours a week. I'm assuming that's a day.
I would say about 2 hours a day.
About 2 hours a day is like 14 hours a week.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like the absolute. That's kind of the minimum that I recommend to climb. But seeing that you're in a literal garbage elo, it's perfectly fine. It doesn't actually matter that much. But the point being is your time is very limited. 2 hours. Okay, when you have that limited of a playtime, you need to make sure that you're like, you're getting the most out of the time, that you're focused on your improvement, you know what you're working on, you know what your objectives are, what your goals are. You have a clear head, you have no distractions, you have no people that are like tilting you or getting you off balanced mentally. You have no distractions, basically. Okay? If you have like 8 hours a day to play, I don't know, there are 16-year-olds that have that much time. Then you can spend like 3 hours fucking around with random people, and you still have plenty of time to focus on your own grind. With your limited playtime, I'm sorry to say you don't have that. Okay, so unless unless you can give me a really good reason right now to keep playing with them, don't keep playing with them. Do you have one?
Do not.
Okay, there you go. Good. If you want to do something with them because you like them, don't let it be Overwatch. Okay, it's perfectly fine to say, okay, these are the friends that I fuck around with, and you can go play Terraria or whatever with them. But when it comes to Overwatch, this is like, it's like a real hobby of yours.
Yeah.
Okay, it's no longer just a way to pass the time. It's something where you want to invest time. You want to get fulfillment out of it by climbing and progressing. That's how you need to look at it. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good. So you're a projectile player, Genji Hanzo. This is all good. You said that you've been playing on console for years, and then recently you switched to PC. What was the thought process there? What made you decide to swap?
I saw a lot of streamers, a lot of people playing PC, and I was just like, well, I might as well spend an upgrade to play PC since it's like way better than console in my opinion. And I was just like, well, Overwatch is on there. Let me try it out. Then I started to like it a lot more. PC as opposed to console, and I felt like I had more control. And,
Okay, that's right. So it's just preferring PC over console.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So your main goal, very nicely phrased, to become a consistent player in Overwatch and a trustworthy teammate to others, and a high IQ player. Okay. Now, I like it because this answer plays very, very nicely into the whole insecurities thing that we talked about earlier. So let's take this step by step. So the first one is consistency, we have trustworthiness, and we have high IQ. Consistency, first of all, that's like a concept that you just need to get out of your head. Okay? Doesn't exist, period. If true consistency existed, Overwatch League would be fucking boring. Okay? Because you could just look at a betting site and see which team is going to win, because they're objectively better or worse. Okay, some days people play like shit. Some days they play good. Sometimes it's for a whole week. Sometimes they play good for one game and then shit the next. It's perfectly normal. Okay, the only thing that matters is the average. Okay, so don't focus so much on like the lowest of the lows. Just also focus on like the highest of the highs. Okay, like when a low elo player loses a Widow 1v1, he thinks to himself, oh my god, I'm such a failure, I lost that 1v1, I need to go aim train, whatever, okay? But when a high elo player loses that Widow 1v1, he doesn't think that, he doesn't think he's trash. He remembers all of the times where he fucked people really hard with Widowmaker. He's like, I died, but who gives a shit, and in that last Overwatch League match, I got like a 4K. These people can suck my nuts. Like that's kind of the point that I'm trying to get at. Like focus more, on the positives, and like inconsistency only sucks because people are focusing more on the negatives than they do on the positives. But don't have that mindset. Okay, don't let that like shake your confidence. So there we go. Consistency should go. It's not something you're gonna get. And becoming a trustworthy teammate to others. That is phrased almost like altruistically. It's phrased as if you're doing it for other people, like you're improving because you want to do other people a favor by no longer being a burden to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. I would say, yeah, probably not to be a burden, but I probably should phrase that maybe better.
Okay. You want to be a better teammate, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay. I guess, yeah, that's fine. I just want to make sure that like your motivation isn't to make other people happy. Like the best motivation to get better at the game is so you can shit on the enemies harder.
Yeah, that's basically my motivation, right?
Okay, good. And then becoming a high IQ player, how do you define that?
Not getting into dumb situations, not out of position, like maybe like way more poised of a player. He's not gonna just end up dying. Because there's like this he's like trying to die for main tank or something. Yeah, and then there's like a alone Ana, like in high ground. She's alone. There's nobody by her. Maybe you could dive her.
So if you would have to kind of assess yourself, would you say that you are making stupid, like actively making stupid decisions, or that you like kind of forget to think at all, like in the first place?
I would say I think I'm actively making stupid
Okay,
decisions.
so you are like putting the thought in, you just don't know in what direction to think.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so we don't really need to work on like building those habits. We just need to look at what you're thinking right now and then why that is wrong. And then we're going to make a few small adjustments and then everyone is going to be happy. Okay. Now, you said that you're grinding tryhard FFA and you're watching streamers. Just quickly about the streamers, is that something you do when you could be playing Overwatch or only when you're like in the bus or something, like when you wouldn't be able to play Overwatch anyways?
I do it when I can be playing Overwatch. So
Can't?
Can.
Okay. As I mentioned earlier, your time is a very valuable resource. And watching streamers, while it can be helpful, the amount of helpfulness depends largely on your existing understanding of the game, because the more you understand the game, the more you'll be able to like understand the thought process of the streamer. No offense to you, but like your SR belongs in history class. Okay, so you need to stop watching streamers because you are deluding yourself if you think that you like actually understand what they do. And I don't mean that in like a harsh way, okay? Because they don't know what they're doing most of the time either. Okay, that's what like the coaches are for. Like they've just played the game so much that a lot of the processes are like kind of autonomous. They don't. It just if you would ask them why they did something, sometimes they won't be able to give you a real explanation. They're just gonna say it felt right, or well, I mean, it was obvious. What else would I do? But they can't actually tell you the reason. So if they can't tell you the reason, you're not going to be able to figure it out. Okay, so the best gameplay to watch is your own gameplay, because your own gameplay is the only gameplay where you're going to understand the thought process of the person who played that game.
Yeah.
And only if you understand the thought process can you figure out what about the thought process was wrong, what about it was right, what kind of changes can I make. Okay?
Understood.
And then lastly, why do you think you're not climbing? Because of my play and inability to get picks consistently as a player and my out of position plays. Okay. Well, do you have any questions before we get into this?
No, none so far.
Excellent, very, very small. I need to close this Boku no Pico shit here. This just jump scared me. I wanted to like open up the form of your order, and I accidentally click on. Ah, Jesus Christ! I need to wash my eyes. Okay, I need you to send me a replay code, Mr. Sir.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Type it right here.
Okay. There we go. Okay, I am going to screen share, which hopefully is going to work good. I got like a new router today for the whole media situation, so hopefully it didn't screw up screen sharing in Discord. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. For the last 2 weeks, I've been in Corona quarantine, so I've had to coach from my laptop, and I'm back. Like, you're the first coachee since I'm back at my actual PC, and you don't realize how big like a computer monitor is until you've been on a fucking laptop screen for like 2 weeks. It's actually insane. Who am I looking at here? Like, which player are you?
Oh, Nexo.
Next, there we go. I need to lower this sense. Jesus Christ, 15. What was that? Alert. Oh, okay. Okay. So, why did you pick Genji here?
I thought maybe because the map was more open, and I think.
Okay. Nice try, but that's not what we want our thought process to be focused on. If you remember in this game, did you get a chance to pick before the Hanzo?
No.
And you just picked faster than you?
Yeah.
You need to get a faster PC. Jesus Christ. Getting outpicked by silver players. Okay. In that case, you're kind of forced on Genji. And to be honest, this is silver. Genji is like fine in basically any team comp. That said, though, Hanzo would be much better here because Genji is a kind of more of a follow-up based character. I mean, you do have some people that you can dive with. So again, the pick here is fine, but I just want to quickly explain kind of the thought process you should use on which character to play. Okay, so Hanzo should be kind of your default general pick, you know, like you pick him by default. The situations where you pick Genji over Hanzo is if you have a lot of people on your team that like want to dive, that want to go in deep. So like Hammonds, Doomfists, Echoes, Lucios, Divas, Tracers, Sombras, whatever. Okay. If you have those characters, then you can play Genji. And as Genji, there's 2 things you need to look for. Okay. You need to either look for isolated targets you can 1v1, or you need to look for jump on targets by one of your teammates. Okay. So if we look at the enemy team comp right now, okay, the easiest targets to kill would be Ana and Symmetra because they don't have like any mobility or shields or whatever. Followed by a Soldier because he has healing field, so he's a little tougher to kill. Followed by the Brigitte, who is kind of aids to kill, but still better than the tanks. And then you have the tanks where you shouldn't really ever focus them even if they're isolated. Like if you see a Zarya alone in high ground, you probably shouldn't jump her. If you see an Ana up on the high ground alone, then you can jump her. Okay, so you need to press tab at the start of the game. You need to figure out what your targets are, and your thinking is really just who has, no healing, no ice block, no defensive cooldowns, just if you were put into a 1v1 aim arena, like, would you win? That's basically the point. And you obviously want them to be isolated because if they're isolated, it means they can't get healed and there's going to be less people shooting at you. Okay, and the great thing is because the focus for a dive character like Genji actually shifts a lot based on your rating. So if you are chilling in a low rating like silver, your gameplay needs to be a lot more focused on the whole diving isolated targets and a lot less on the following other divers. Okay, so when you're playing Genji in high elo, it's pretty rare that the enemy team is going to be split and you can just go in and 1v1 people. Most of the time you're going to wait until one of your teammates engages and you farm blade, and then when they go in, you go in with them. In low elo, people are split 24/7. It's actually insane. And even if they aren't that split, the enemies are usually oblivious to you diving the backline. Like if the Ana is standing behind her team, most of the time you can kill her before she even
reacts or one of your teammates reacts. Okay, so that's kind of the general playstyle as Genji. Look for isolated targets or follow your teammates. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Also, you don't have to assert me. I'm not that old. At least I'd like to think that. Okay, okay. Well, so number one, why are you spamming right click at a distance?
I guess it's nothing. I guess it's the wall, probably.
Well, no, but when should we use right click? When should we use left click?
We should right click when we are close up by an enemy, and left click from far.
Would you say this is close?
No.
No. The only time you want to use your right click over your left click is if at least 2 shurikens connect. Okay. Which means when you're like actually pretty close, you know. The reason why the 2 shuriken rule exists instead of like just using a fixed distance is because it depends a lot on the enemy's hitbox. You know, if you're shooting a Roadhog, then you can right click him from a larger range. If you're shooting an Ana, then even if you're pretty close, if you won't be able to hit 2 shurikens, so basically unless you're in melee range, you shouldn't right click against an Ana. You know, but against a Roadhog, it's okay to like right click him a little. Or another example would be shooting shields. Like if you're just spamming shields, then you should also spam right click. Okay?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, right here, do not spam right click. It is not very, very efficient. We want to go for left clicks. Now the second thing is we need to talk a little bit about the range at which you play. So as Genji, the main source of burst damage that you have is your right click or left click, like your shuriken dash animation cancel. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you know how that works?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. And the only way you can do that is if you are actually in range. Okay. So when you are in a high elo, people are going to react very, very quickly with the healing. So it's very important that you can deal a lot of damage in a short period of time so you can finish off kills. Okay. So for example, right here, when your teammates are like jumping on, you know, this Zarya, and you see that the Zarya is pretty low HP, it's important that you're within close range, because when you see that someone gets low HP and you think that they're going to die, that's when you would go in with your whole shuriken dash thing and you would deal a lot of damage in a short period of time, and then hopefully that's going to be enough to net you that kill.
Yeah.
Okay. But at the range that you're at right here, I mean, you're basically a support player, you know? This is, you're out of dash range, and that is not an effective range for a Genji to be in. As a general rule of thumb, there's like 2 main rules of positioning for DPS or support characters. Okay, the first rule is keep someone between you and the enemy team. Okay, so this position right here is fine because this diva is between you and the enemy team. This position wouldn't be fine, because no one is between you and the enemy team. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And then rule number 2, and again, these 2 rules, like I know it feels like I'm telling you a lot of stuff, and I really hope that you're taking notes, but these 2 rules honestly make up like 95% of positioning until like very high elo. You know, like those 2 rules can carry you all the way to masters, if not even GM. Okay. So obviously, at a higher level, it gets more complicated with like macro rotations and team-specific positioning and setting up for ultimates and playing around ultimates and whatever. Right here, make sure that a teammate is between you. That a teammate is between you and the enemies. Keep in mind, teammate. It doesn't necessarily have to be a tank. Okay. So if you have a tracer, okay, and she is standing here. Okay, imagine she's standing here. It's fine for you to stand here because the tracer is between you and the enemy team. And the reasoning for that is that people like to shoot who's in front of them. Okay? As long as one of your teammates is in front of you, they're going to draw the attention and you're going to be able to kind of chill. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so that's rule number 1. Keep a teammate between you and the enemies. Rule 2 is play around corners. Okay, this right here is a corner. This right here is a corner. Basically anything where you can, do you see how this corner is kind of swiping across the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, basically any position where you can do this very quickly is good. So right here, I can kind of close my entire screen very quickly. Imagine this is like in a car where like they wipe the rain off, you know? I can wipe the rain off very fast. If I'm very far away from a corner, it's kind of fucking slow. You know, it takes a very long time, which means that if the enemies are running me over, I can't really very responsibly react. I can't hide very quickly. Okay. Or worst case, you're standing here and like your fucking windshield wipers, they flew off, you know, unlucky.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a, as Genji, it's not like the biggest problem because you have deflect and dash, but again, we don't want to build habits. Like if you stood here as Hanzo, not good. But if you stood here as Hanzo, it's good. Or best position, if you were playing Hanzo, would be right here. Because right here, you have the diva in front of you. So one of your teammates between you and them. And you have your windshield wipers, you know. Now they see you, now they don't. Now they see you, now they don't. Okay? And this position, honestly, like even as Genji, it would be okay. As Genji, you can afford to be like a little bit more aggressive because you have deflect. So as Genji, it would also be fine to stand here. Okay? Like you're a little bit further away from cover, but again, you're Genji, you have deflect, so you have a little bit more leeway as long as your reaction time is quick. Okay? But those are the two main rules of positioning for DPS and support characters that you need to follow right now. Okay? Do you have any questions about how to apply that?
It would be when do I wanna like let's say we're by the like corner you're talking about?
This one?
Yeah, by this by that one.
Or you mean this? Do you mean the statue or the one where the diva is?
By the one where the diva is.
Yeah.
Would I want to like retreat back to where the statue is, or would I want to like stay within where the diva is within this range?
So you would stay here for as long as you can.
Okay.
You know, if the damage becomes overwhelming, if you see that you're getting low HP, then you can press your deflect and just go back to cover.
Okay.
If you do not have your deflect, let's say you're chill here, and then like the soldier right there, you know, let's say he's like standing here, and he hits like a fat helix rockets, and like the diva just matrix dodges that helix rocket and it hits your face, and you're low HP. So you deflect to make sure you don't die, and you walk back. Okay, and then you're back here, and like you get healed by the Ana, you know, thank you Ana, and then you go back. But now you don't have your deflect. Okay, now you need to be a little bit more careful. You know, now maybe you can play a little bit further back, maybe a little bit further to the left. Maybe only focus the Brigitte so you don't even expose yourself to these nerds. You know, and then once you have your deflect, you can go back to being super duper aggressive. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yep.
Any more questions about this stuff?
I think for right now, I have most of my questions.
Okay, good. So yeah, right-clicking here isn't super duper amazing. So you see that the Genji is, not the Genji, the soldier is isolated, and you go for him, which is very, very nice. Okay, now again, he is a little not super duper smart. Like this position is kind of suicidal because you see like his teammates did some weird teleporter stuff, and these tanks don't actually have any space. So do you see how he doesn't have any teammates in front of him?
Yeah.
Right? If his tanks were playing this corner still, then he could maybe play up here. Okay. And if he was playing up here, he needs to play closer to the corner because playing around corners is important. And then he can helix field and he can chill here. And then worst case, he can drop down and run towards his teammates. But right here, this position he takes isn't good. He's isolated. And I don't think you recognize that. You just saw the Genji, the soldier, and you wanted to shoot him. But now you understand why you got this kill. If he was up here with his Ana, then going up here would be a bad idea. If the enemy tanks were pushed further forward, then going up here would be a little bit more dangerous. Honestly, you still could have done that, but just understand that the risk would be higher. Okay, so what I need you to do is I need you to be able to recognize when an enemy is like truly isolated to a free kill level, when he's isolated but it's not as free, you know, like you need to be quick, otherwise you might get overrun, and when an enemy just like isn't isolated, period, and jumping in would be kind of suicidal. Okay, but yeah, this is a free kill jump. Okay. And then yeah, again, you keep spamming right click. It's not good. Genji is very, very ult focused because Dragon Blade is kind of busted. So it's really important that you get like headshots with your left click. Gives you more ult charge.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back. Yeah, this is another thing with the dash. Right here, you really. I mean, to be honest, it's just kind of awkward. That you have to reload. If you had shots, then you would have been able to shuriken her before the dash, and that would have killed you. There is one lesson to be learned, though. And remember earlier how I said how you should act when you are playing around this corner here? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
what did I say?
You said I need to play within like one person length of the enemy, and then play like just like a quick windshield wiper, basically.
Okay, so what about the whole deflect thing, if you remember that?
I have so when I'm in trouble I deflect back and I wait for heals.
Exactly, and that's the important thing, the wait for heals part. So look at how you act here after you use your deflect. Do you see how you go in?
Yeah.
Do you understand now where that's a bad play?
Yeah.
Okay. When you use your deflect should always be followed by a defensive move. So by going out, dashing out, running away, unless you are very confident that you can get the kill with the dash. So right here, if she had like 10 HP, then you can dash her to get the kill and then get out with the reset. But right here, it was not guaranteed that you would get that kill, and you don't want to take that risk here. Okay? Like your teammates are kind of winning space-wise, like if you only look at the point, there's like your teammates are all here. Basically, the only enemy on the point is the Symmetra. So if you would have just dashed back, you could have captured the point, stayed alive, farm your ult charge. But whenever you press your deflect, like you need to commit that to muscle memory, basically. When you press your deflect, your immediately thought needs to be, like, I need to get out unless there's like a super duper obvious kill right in front of me. Okay. Okay, but yeah, I guess they capture point. Don't die here. Just get some ult charge if you want. Don't shoot your Hanzo. Okay, see, like right there, right clicking was okay. At that distance, though, see, like, oh, dude, are you ever left clicking? You're literally, who right clicks at this range?
I can't help it. It's programmed.
What do you mean you can't help it? Are you being held at gunpoint? Your left mouse button broke?
I'm too scared to click left because I think I won't hit the shot. Right click always usually hit them more accurate.
No, you don't. If you right click, you land like one shot max, And you're just kind of spamming your right click into the masses, and that like gives you hit markers and gold medal damages and whatever, gold damage medals, but it doesn't actually kill people. To kill people you need focus damage. It's better to miss your left click and it not leading to a kill than to hit your right click and it not leading to a kill. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like with the right click, whether you hit it or not doesn't matter. Doesn't lead to anything. But if you hit the left click, if you had like a nice ding 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 with the left click, maybe someone is within killable range with your dash. Like right here, you walk around the corner, maybe you do like a nice little, maybe those two right clicks. Okay, let's look at this in slow motion. Let's do some fucking advanced visual analysis here. Okay. So let's look at the first right click. Did you see how one shuriken connected?
Yeah.
Okay, and again, one shuriken connected. Do you see that? Like the one on the right. Okay. So 2 shurikens connected. Do you really think that if you would have left clicked, you wouldn't have been able to land 2 out of 6 shurikens?
No, I think I would have been able to land them.
Yeah. So that's number 1. Okay. And then number 2 is you need to kind of go for the head. Like your crosshair is bouncing a lot. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. So aim for the head, use your left click more. Okay. And then the important thing also is don't use your left click statically. Okay. Like I'm going to go out of here real quick so I can show this to you in the practice range. Also, I'm using an office mouse, like an NX Master, so this is not very gaming oriented, but I think it should be fine. Ah, Jesus Christ, this is so bad. And I'm also limiting my FPS to 60 so that like my PC doesn't die. So the mistake that a lot of people do is they shoot like this, you know, where they're like they stop their crosshair and like they kind of keep it a little bit stationary. Okay, you don't want to do that. Like you actively want to lead with your crosshair, which again is like really difficult with this mouse. But don't just like aim at one spot in front of them, you know, and then hope that they walk into it. Always try to like predict the enemy movement a little, you know, look at how they move and then move with them with the crosshair.
This is on ioStux. It's not on Overwatch.
My screen isn't on Overwatch?
Yeah, it's on ioStux.
Oh, interesting. Why is it on ioPlex? Let me 1 second. Go out and try screaming again. That isn't working. Let me try something else. Let me do this and then this still didn't work. You know what? I'm gonna do this the hard way. There we go. And then now it should work.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is don't like keep your crosshairs steady when you're like spamming at enemies. You know, when it's kind of hard because there are no strafing bots, but basically when the enemies are strafing, you don't just want to like shoot at one spot. That's what people tend to do, kind of like this. Okay? It's important that you always try to follow their movement. So if the enemies are strafing, you kind of, it's really tough to do with this mouse. Let me lower the sense a little more. There we go. Okay, you kind of do this little, it's kind of tough to see. I'm going to do it without strafing. You kind of do this little wiggle, you know, to like try and match the enemy's strafe. Right. Okay. And what that's going to do is like if you just throw it stationary, chances are one of your shurikens is going to land. But if the enemy is moving and you're shooting at a stationary spot, you're never going to hit all 3 shurikens. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's why the optimal play is to do this little wiggle so that, like, sure, maybe you're going to miss all 3, but at least now you have a chance of hitting all 3. So again, just do the little wiggle, okay? Unless the enemy is moving in like a constant motion, then you can just lead in front of them, you know? Yeah. Then you don't need to like do the wiggle, you just lead like this, okay? And again, go for headshots, very important. This is like by far the biggest mistake that Overwatch players make. They don't go for headshots. It's actually insane. It's a first-person shooter, and they don't go for headshots. Yes. Yes. And then the second thing we need to talk about. Right, this is where you died here. This is where you wait for your team. Right here. Is your positioning again. So the problem with your positioning here is what?
I'm not doing the windshield by a corner,
basically. I mean, you are. Yes, you are. I mean, you have a corner right here. Yeah. So that's not the problem. This is the problem.
I'm probably Oh, I'm diving before my tanks diving.
No, we talked about 2 positioning boots earlier. So we do the windshield thing. What was the other?
Oh, in between your teammate and the enemy.
Yeah, who's in between you and the enemies right now?
Nobody.
Exactly. And when is the only time we are fine with having no one?
When the enemy's really low.
It's not about them being low. It's about them being killable. Okay. It's about them being killable. So the problem is right here. We talked earlier that people are killable when they're like alone, and when they're squishy, and when they don't have a lot of ways of defending themselves, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that right now these people are isolated?
No.
So do you really want to face them without a teammate between the two of you?
No.
No. Do you see like how much shit is here that like could screw you? Ana sleep dart, McCree flashbang, Brig stun.
Yeah.
You know, like this McCree right here. Why is he not flashbang you? What does he do? Why does he not flashbang you?
Because he's fighting with the team.
No, because he's fucking garbage. He literally has it. Like, I do not get it. Just flashbang Cree. Ah, depression. But yeah, right here, being on this flank is no bueno. But then surprisingly, you actually go out. Like, now you got the kill on the McCree. God knows how. You know, you got the pick, which is nice. And your Ana is with you. How do you know? You're getting healed.
Yeah.
So someone is probably with you. You even saw her right there.
Yeah.
So now you're no longer alone. And you got the pick, which means that your teammates are going to push in. When you get the pick, when you get a numbers advantage, that's when you want to take those positioning roles and you want to kind of shove them up your butt a little. You know, like you don't want to care about them as much.
Yeah.
You can just go aggressive and you can go kind of ham, because when your numbers advantage gets a pick, then like the risk gets kind of low, you know. Even if you die, your teammates might still be fine, you know. So you don't want to suicide, but you don't have to worry about it as much.
Right.
So yeah, you go for this weird rotate. It's like kind of awkward. Well, now you're going for left click. It's very nice. So yeah, honestly, right there, the team foot was kind of a free win. But instead of pushing in with your teammates, you just decided to like go, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Take the health back. There's a large health back. Why are you not taking the health back? Question mark. Hello. Interesting.
I think I was waiting for my Ana to heal me, and she was dead. And I think I got tunnel vision.
Do not wait for people to heal you. There is a health pack within fart smelling distance. Okay, see, right clicking on the Hammond there was good. Ah, yes. The good old walking into the wall move. What the fuck was that?
That happens a lot.
Whoa, what do you mean? That happens a lot.
Sometimes I get stuck. And
What gets stuck? Like your PC freezes?
No, like, I think there I was probably like, look at my phone or something. But then when I get stuck, I mean, like, I'll actually be playing the game. I'll like dash, and then I'll just dash. I'll kill myself on accident. So like I'll dash out, and then you know I'm dead. So
I will be honest. My linguistic skills right now are just insufficient to decipher what you're saying. The only message that I'm trying to get across here is that running into a wall and dying is not very constructive and might contribute to your consistency issues. You know, it's kind of tough when your team like basically gets a free team fight win, and you're like, ah yes, I like to run into this wall. Did you know that if animals run into walls, it's usually a sign of like neurological damage? Like if you ever see someone with like a cat or a dog and they like run into a wall, just keep that in mind.
all right.
ioStux animal coaching. I read it on Reddit. I thought it was An interesting tidbit. Okay, this team fight lasts like 10 years. There's a high... Are you playing with headphones?
Not all the time. I think I was using my speakers here.
How do you mean not all the time? Why would you switch?
Well, it depends. Like, if I was trying to... I guess I didn't have enough time to plug in my headphones. And then I just like...
You didn't have enough time to plug in your headphones. What do you work as where you do not have the time in the day to plug in headphones?
Well, like the game had queued, and then I was trying to run and like start, and then I totally forgot to plug them in. They were right next to me.
Yes, the classic. Okay. You need to play with the headphones. This is a first-person shooter game where positional audio cues are very, very important. Okay, it's not just enough to hear the high noon. It's important to hear that it's to your right. Like, this is a perfect 90-degree angle. Like, your right eardrum here needs to burst. But if you're using speakers, it becomes a little bit tough. Okay, because you have your deflect, and he gave you a lot of time to react. I mean, look at this from his perspective, please. The fact that he like does not die here is insanity. And again, it's not a reaction time issue because it's not like he even looked. This was just you not recognizing that he was using his ultimate. So yeah, so far honestly everything is just FPS fundamentals. You know, don't go on weird solo missions away from your team unless you are actually confident you can 1v1 someone. Make sure to use headphones so you can hear where people are coming from. Yeah, this is your main account, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure that you're keeping the basic rules of positioning in mind. You know, the whole windshield thing. To make sure that you have cover. The whole using your teammates as meat shields. You know, those are kind of the basics. You know, I know they sound very simple, but they're very, very impactful. You know, like the start of this whole coaching thing is always about looking for things that are easy to implement, but that are going to make a big difference. Okay. Now, right here, I knew you were like worried about touching the point, but I still would have used blade. You know, like right here, pull out your blade and then dash onto the point, because maybe you could have killed Diana, and then maybe that would have given your team like enough momentum to do something, and everything would have been good shit.
Yeah.
But okay, Mr. Nex. This is the part of the session where you can ask any final questions about anything we have discussed. And hopefully, after those questions have been answered, you have a pretty good idea of what to focus on. A little disclaimer, since we talked about multiple topics, make sure to focus on them one at a time. Okay, so don't try to fix your right-clicking habit and your headshotting habit at the same time, or your headshotting habit and your not standing behind your teammates habit, or your, you know, like one thing at a time. This game, I want to make sure that I always have a command to windshield off. I want to make sure that this game, I'm always behind a teammate unless I'm actively like capable of 1v1ing someone.
Yeah.
Okay. And we didn't even get a chance to talk about ultimates because you just didn't get it very fast. So there's no real point in improving your ultimates right now, because what's the point in improving your ult usage if you don't have your ultimate in a game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, yeah. My question probably would be is, do I want to dive supports first always, or like?
You don't choose based on role, you just choose on killability.
Okay.
So if you have a Lucio wall riding and a Hanzo alone on high ground, who would you focus?
The Hanzo alone on high ground.
Yeah, because the Lucio is much more difficult to kill. Even though he's a support, in that situation the isolated Hanzo is a higher priority, because he can't wall ride and because his hitbox isn't anorexic.
Okay. Yeah. So, I was saying another question I would have is, when do you want to hit a tank, or like should it be
when basically your entire team is like focusing them. Like for example, if you see that like the enemy Ryan gets frozen by a Mei or hacked by a Sombra or booped into your team by a Hammond or a Lucio, you know, in those situations where they get pummeled on, you want to join in on the you know, group pummeling, I guess.
Yeah.
But outside of that, you know, if you're like the only person shooting the tank, basically only shoot the tank if you think you shooting the tank will actually lead to the tank dying.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yep. Let me see what else. We talked about switching in DMs. I want to like kind of like lead off on that. So you said if I can like, you know, destroy with a better pick, you said to switch, right? What if per se like my team isn't like Genji, for example? You said only play him when my team's running a dive comp, and mostly start off with Hanzo. Is basically what I want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mainly because Hanzo's like he's more safe, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, he's not as team comp. You can basically one trick Hanzo if you really wanted to.
Oh, okay. Well, so when I feel I'm out of position, I want to retreat, right? Or like, I want to E and retreat. Just making sure.
Yeah. When you use your E, you want to make sure that you don't stick around for much longer.
Okay. Well, you answered all my questions.
Well, excellent.
Yeah.
Then, I guess I've basically said everything that needed to be said. I've got another client of mine ready for her session in like 5 minutes, so I gotta take care of that. If you have any more questions, just send them to me via a DM. And I guess I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Nex, have a good one, and please don't request any more inappropriate content. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Have a good one. See ya.
All right. See ya.